Ethan's ship hovered just above the planet's surface, its metallic frame glinting in the pale light of the distant sun. The scanners had picked up life signs, but nothing that resembled anything he had ever seen before. The air shimmered with a strange energy, and the ground below was covered in translucent plants that swayed as if they were breathing. Ethan took a deep breath and adjusted his suit, feeling a thrill of excitement. Humans had explored many worlds, but this one seemed almost alive in its own way. As he descended in the small landing pod, the soft hum of the engines mixed with the subtle vibrations of the planet beneath him. The moment he set foot on the ground, the soil felt soft, almost like walking on thick moss, but it supported him firmly. He scanned the environment with his portable analyzer, noting the unusual chemical composition of the air. It was breathable, but only barely. Ethan knew he had to be careful. This planet was alien in every sense, yet it welcomed him in a way he could not explain. Then he saw her, a figure gliding silently among the plants, her movements smooth and precise. She had a humanoid form, but her skin shimmered like liquid silver, and her eyes reflected the sky as though they contained galaxies within them. Ethan froze. He had trained for encounters with alien species, but nothing had prepared him for this. The alien approached cautiously, tilting her head as she studied him. Ethan raised a hand in greeting, trying to appear non-threatening. She mirrored his gesture, but when she touched the air near his chest, a subtle shockwave ran through the suit's sensors. Ethan blinked. Something in the alien's touch activated a part of his suit that monitored vital signs, a sensitive area designed to measure reactions to extreme stimuli. The alien recoiled in surprise. "No creature could endure that," she whispered, her voice a musical blend of tones that vibrated through the air. "Unless you are human." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Human?" he asked, keeping his voice calm. The alien's eyes widened and she stepped back, motioning for him to wait. Moments later, more figures appeared, their forms equally graceful, yet delicate. They surrounded him cautiously, murmuring to one another in their strange language. Ethan observed their movements. They were physically fragile, moving with an elegance that suggested their bodies could not withstand much force. And yet he stood among them, solid and unshaken. Lyra, the first alien who had touched his suit, floated closer again. Her curiosity was evident. She extended a slender hand and lightly tapped another sensor on his suit. This time, there was no shock to him, but the sensors recorded a spike. The alien gasped, her hand trembling slightly. "It cannot be," she whispered. "You survive everything we cannot." Ethan smiled, realizing the aliens had never encountered anything like him. "I'm just a human," he said. "I'm used to challenges." The aliens whispered among themselves. Ethan could feel their eyes on him, studying every movement. It was both unnerving and fascinating. He realized that to them, humans were not just another species. They were something extraordinary. Lyra gestured for him to follow, leading him to a small structure partially hidden among the plants. Inside, the walls glowed softly, responding to their presence. Strange machines lined the room, pulsing with energy he could not identify. He noticed symbols etched into the surfaces, moving as if alive. Lyra pointed to one of the devices and touched it lightly. The machine hummed and adjusted itself, seemingly in response to her touch. She looked at Ethan, a question in her eyes. "Can you do that?" she asked. Ethan approached cautiously and touched the same machine. The sensors lit up, but nothing harmful occurred. The aliens gasped, some stepping back in astonishment. Ethan felt a strange thrill. Their amazement was not due to magic or luck. It was his human physiology, his resilience, that made him capable. Lyra floated closer again, studying his hands. "Your body, it endures what ours cannot. How is this possible?" Ethan shrugged. "I guess humans are built differently. We adapt, we survive. That's what we do." The aliens whispered among themselves, and Ethan realized they were debating something serious. He had unintentionally entered a world where human biology was a marvel, and that gave him unexpected power. But he also knew that respect would need to be earned. The aliens were intelligent and cautious. Survival alone was not enough. They would watch and judge him carefully. Over the next hours, Lyra showed him more of the planet. Strange flora and fauna surrounded them, many of which seemed delicate yet incredibly complex. Some of the plants reacted to touch with pain-like signals, which caused the aliens to wince, yet Ethan remained unharmed. He realized that the planet tested its inhabitants, but humans were unique in their ability to endure the unusual stimuli. Lyra led him to a pool of liquid that shimmered with light. The moment he touched the surface, his sensors recorded nothing unusual, but the aliens around him shivered. They quickly drew back, murmuring in alarm. Ethan laughed softly. "It's just water," he said. "Nothing dangerous here." Lyra looked at him in awe. "No creature survives this except you. Humans are extraordinary." Ethan felt a mix of pride and humility. He was just a human explorer, but in this world, his species represented something almost mythical. The aliens' astonishment was genuine, but it came with expectations. They would not accept failure easily. As night fell, the planet's twin moons cast silvery light over the landscape. Ethan and Lyra sat near a glowing plant that illuminated the area. He asked her about their species, and she explained that they had evolved in isolation, their bodies sensitive to every stimulus, unable to withstand what humans could handle. Humans, she said, were durable, resilient, and adaptable, the perfect explorers for worlds like theirs. Ethan realized he had a role here, not just as an observer, but as someone who could bridge the gap between humans and this alien civilization. He could teach them, learn from them, and perhaps even help them survive challenges that had always limited their species. Lyra smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the twin moons. "You are different," she said softly. "More than we expected, more than we imagined." Ethan nodded. "Maybe, but I think you're incredible too. Your world, it's like nothing I've ever seen." She studied him for a long moment, then reached out and lightly touched his arm. Again, there was a slight reaction in her sensors, but Ethan felt nothing. She drew back, her expression a mix of surprise and wonder. "You are human," she whispered, "and that changes everything." Ethan leaned back, watching the alien sky. The stars shone brighter here than anywhere he had ever been. For the first time, he felt the true weight of human potential. In a world built for fragile beings, he was strong. He could endure what others could not. And in that endurance, he had gained something more valuable than survival. He had earned their attention, their trust, and perhaps the beginning of a bond that would redefine life on this planet forever. As the night deepened, Ethan prepared to rest in his suit. He knew tomorrow would bring tests, challenges, and opportunities to prove that humans were capable of more than the aliens had ever believed. But tonight, he allowed himself a small smile, knowing that just by being human, he had already begun to change this world. The alien planet was no longer just a place to study. It was a stage on which human resilience would be revealed, and Ethan was ready to play his part. The next morning, the pale light of the twin moons fading, Ethan stepped out of his pod with determination. The planet looked even stranger in daylight, revealing colors and shapes that defied earthly logic. Plants stretched tall, shimmering with a soft inner glow, while the ground pulsed lightly, almost as if it were breathing. Ethan adjusted his suit and activated the scanners, knowing that today would test him in ways the aliens had already hinted at. Lyra was waiting at the edge of a crystalline field, her form glimmering in the morning light. She gestured for him to follow, leading him toward structures that rose like delicate towers from the ground. "Today, you will see more of our world," she said. "And we will see more of you." Her voice carried a tone of challenge, curiosity, and something Ethan could not quite name. As they walked, he noticed how fragile everything looked. A wrong step could crush a plant or break a crystal. Yet the aliens moved with grace, gliding effortlessly over surfaces that seemed impossible to support weight. Ethan felt the contrast sharply. Humans were clumsy by comparison, yet somehow he had survived where they would falter. That realization gave him confidence. They arrived at a circular clearing, where a series of glowing orbs hovered above the ground. Each orb contained a different substance. One shimmered with a thick, viscous liquid, another crackled with energy, and a third emitted an intense heat that would burn any alien who touched it. Lyra explained that these orbs were part of a test, one designed to measure endurance, resilience, and adaptability. "You will try them," Lyra said, her eyes studying him closely. "No alien survives for more than a moment." Ethan nodded. "I'll do my best." He approached the first orb, the liquid one. As he touched it, the surface rippled, and sensors in his suit recorded a subtle reaction. Nothing harmful happened. The aliens gasped. "He endures," Lyra whispered. She gestured toward the second orb, filled with crackling energy. Ethan stepped forward. A brief shock ran through the suit's outer layer, but he felt only a tingling sensation. The aliens recoiled, their bodies trembling with what would have been agony for them. Finally, the heat orb. Ethan felt the wave of energy radiate toward him. He braced himself and stepped into its radius. The sensors recorded extreme conditions, but his body remained unharmed. The aliens could hardly believe their eyes. Lyra floated closer, touching his arm lightly. "You are different." "Humans can endure everything," she said, her tone a mixture of awe and disbelief. After the tests, Ethan was led to a large chamber filled with alien artifacts. Each one was delicate, fragile, and dangerous to touch improperly. The aliens explained that their society prized precision and control above all else. Mistakes could be fatal, yet they encouraged Ethan to interact with the devices, to manipulate them as he saw fit. Ethan worked carefully, observing the delicate mechanisms and learning their purpose. He adjusted a lever here, rotated a dial there, and slowly the machines came to life in ways even the aliens had not predicted. Their systems responded to his human strength and intuition, expanding functionality that their fragile hands could never achieve. Lyra watched closely. "You do not fear breaking them," she noted. "You are confident and strong. Humans are not like us." Ethan smiled faintly. "Sometimes you have to be strong to survive. That's what we've learned." Over the following days, Ethan became a teacher, showing the aliens how to manipulate their technology in ways they could not. In return, he learned their language, their customs, and the subtle ways they communicated with the planet itself. The more he understood, the more he realized that humans had a unique combination of resilience, curiosity, and creativity. The aliens could survive in harmony with their environment, but humans could survive anywhere and transform the world around them. One afternoon, Lyra led him to a high plateau overlooking a valley. The valley was filled with delicate creatures, bioluminescent and fragile, moving cautiously. Ethan observed them with fascination. One misstep could injure them. Lyra explained that these creatures had never encountered humans, and the aliens had never considered that another species could interact without harm. Ethan knelt and extended a hand slowly. One small creature approached him, touching his glove lightly. Ethan held his breath. The aliens around him gasped as the creature recoiled slightly but remained unharmed. Ethan's steady presence, his calm and controlled movement, allowed interaction that the aliens had thought impossible. "You understand them," Lyra said softly, "and yet you are human." As the days passed, the bond between Ethan and the aliens grew. They began to rely on him for guidance, not only because of his resilience, but also because of his problem-solving ability. When a delicate energy field malfunctioned, threatening to collapse a part of their city, Ethan analyzed the problem and devised a solution using principles from Earth technology. The aliens watched in amazement as he stabilized the field, saving the fragile structures without causing damage. The climax of this part came when a sudden seismic shift shook the planet. Rocks tumbled, the ground cracked, and a cascade of energy pulses spread through the valley. The aliens panicked. Their bodies could not withstand such violent movements. Ethan, however, remained steady. Using his knowledge and physical endurance, he guided the aliens to safety, his human strength allowing him to anchor them and support their fragile frames. After the disaster, the aliens gathered around him. Their expressions were filled with gratitude and newfound respect. Lyra hovered near him, her eyes reflecting admiration. "You have proven what no alien could. Your body, your mind, they are extraordinary," she said. "You are more than a visitor. You are a bridge between our world and yours." Ethan felt a sense of pride but also humility. He was just a human, yet in their eyes, he represented the best of humanity. The aliens' fascination was not only with his strength but with his ability to endure, adapt, and lead. They began to see humans as a species capable of shaping worlds, surviving where others could not, and inspiring hope in fragile civilizations. By the end of the second week, Ethan had become a part of their society in a unique way. He was no longer just an observer or explorer. He was a teacher, a protector, and a symbol of human potential. The aliens had accepted him, not because he was alien to them, but because his humanity allowed him to do what they could not. Lyra approached him one evening as the twin moons rose again. "Tomorrow we will test you further," she said, her tone serious. "The challenges ahead will not only measure strength but wisdom, endurance, and courage." Ethan nodded. He was ready. Each test he had faced so far had proven one thing: humans were capable of enduring what others could not. And with each step, he gained the trust and admiration of a species that had never encountered anyone like him. As night fell, Ethan looked up at the stars, feeling a connection not only to his home planet but to this strange, beautiful world. Humans had always adapted, survived, and overcome challenges. Here, on this alien world, that same resilience was being recognized, celebrated, and respected. He smiled faintly, knowing that tomorrow would bring more tests, but he was ready. For the first time, he understood that being human was not just about survival. It was about the ability to inspire, to protect, and to endure where no one else could. Lyra floated beside him, her presence calming yet full of curiosity. "You are extraordinary," she said softly, "and I think the others will see it too." Ethan looked at her, realizing that the bond between human and alien had begun not through power, not through fear, but through endurance, understanding, and trust. In this fragile world, humans were strong, adaptable, and capable of wonders the aliens had never imagined. The night stretched on, peaceful yet filled with anticipation. Ethan knew the challenges ahead would push him further than before, but humans had always faced the impossible and thrived. Here, among these delicate, intelligent beings, his humanity was not only surviving, it was being honored, respected, and even celebrated. And for Ethan, that realization was more powerful than any victory. The sun rose over the alien horizon, casting soft, shifting colors across the crystalline towers and the glowing flora of the planet. Ethan stood at the edge of a cliff, scanning the valley below. The planet had already tested him in ways no human had ever faced, but today, the challenge would be unlike anything before. Lyra approached him, her silver form glimmering in the dawn light. "The Council has prepared the final test," she said. "It will measure endurance, intelligence, and courage. It is designed to show who can lead, who can survive when all else fails." Her voice was calm, but Ethan could see the seriousness in her eyes. He nodded, adjusting his suit. Each test he had faced so far had proven that humans could endure what no alien could. Yet he knew that this final challenge would push him to the limits of both body and mind. He was ready. The council led him to a massive arena carved from the living rock of the planet itself. The walls shimmered as if alive, and strange energy currents pulsed through the air. In the center of the arena was a structure resembling a giant lattice, filled with unstable energy nodes that radiated pulses strong enough to harm or incapacitate an alien instantly. Lyra hovered near him. "You must stabilize the structure," she explained. "The nodes will test your endurance and your ability to think quickly. If you fail, the structure will collapse and the damage could destroy the valley below." Ethan stepped forward, analyzing the pattern of energy pulses. His suit's sensors recorded extreme levels, but he felt confident. Humans had always adapted to extreme conditions, surviving where others could not. His mind worked quickly, calculating sequences, anticipating reactions, and planning his movements carefully. He began moving through the lattice, touching the nodes in precise order. Energy pulsed toward him, but his human resilience allowed him to withstand it. The aliens watched in awe as he navigated the structure, adjusting the nodes to stabilize the system. Each movement required strength, precision, and rapid calculation. A single mistake could have caused failure, but Ethan's endurance and quick thinking kept him safe. Suddenly, one of the larger nodes began to destabilize, sending intense energy waves outward. The aliens nearby gasped and recoiled, unable to approach. Ethan rushed forward, using his body to shield the smaller nodes while adjusting the destabilized one. Sparks flew and energy arcs danced dangerously close, but he remained focused. Lyra's voice rang in his suit calm. "Careful, you can do this." Ethan took a deep breath, using his human strength and precision. With a calculated push, he locked the node into place. The pulses slowed, the lattice stabilized, and the arena fell silent. The aliens approached cautiously, inspecting the structure. None had survived the challenge before, yet Ethan had endured and succeeded. The council floated forward, their eyes wide with admiration. Lyra smiled brightly. "No alien has ever done this. You are extraordinary." Ethan looked at the energy lattice, feeling a mix of relief and pride. "I just did what humans do," he said simply. "We survive, we adapt, we endure." The aliens whispered among themselves, and Ethan realized they were not only impressed, they were inspired. He had shown them that a human could face extreme challenges, survive, and succeed where their fragile forms could not. His endurance was not just physical but mental, and that combination made him exceptional. After the test, the council invited Ethan to their central chamber, a place where the history of their civilization was recorded in glowing crystal panels. Lyra guided him through the chamber, explaining the significance of each display. The aliens had lived in harmony with the planet, careful to avoid damage to themselves or their environment. Yet they had never considered a species capable of interacting with their world at the same level without harm. "You are more than we imagined," Lyra said softly. "Humans can endure what no creature could, and you have helped us see possibilities we never thought existed." Ethan felt a warmth of pride. He was just one human, yet in their eyes, he represented the potential of an entire species. Humans were adaptable, resilient, and capable of creating solutions in ways the aliens could not. It was not arrogance that made him feel this way. It was recognition of what humanity could achieve. Days later, a natural disaster struck the region, a violent storm unlike any the aliens had ever experienced. Winds tore through the crystalline towers, and the delicate flora bent and broke under the force. The aliens panicked, their fragile forms unable to withstand the onslaught. Ethan acted immediately. Using his strength and endurance, he helped anchor the aliens to safe points, guiding them through the chaos. He analyzed the storm's patterns and predicted the safest paths, leading the group through collapsing tunnels and shifting energy fields. His human resilience allowed him to move through danger unscathed, while the aliens relied on him entirely. When the storm finally subsided, the valley lay in partial ruin. Crystals were broken, plants damaged, but no alien had been harmed thanks to Ethan's quick thinking and physical endurance. The council gathered around him, their expressions a mixture of awe, gratitude, and respect. Lyra floated beside him, her eyes reflecting the aftermath. "You have done what no alien could. You have saved us," she said. "You are more than a visitor. You are part of our world now." Ethan felt a deep sense of connection. Humans had always been explorers, survivors, and problem solvers. Here, on a fragile alien planet, his species' traits had been recognized as extraordinary. He had not only endured but had become a protector, a bridge between worlds. The aliens began to implement changes inspired by Ethan's methods. They adapted some of their technology to human-level endurance, allowing them to survive minor stresses they had previously avoided. Ethan had taught them not just survival techniques, but the value of courage, quick thinking, and adaptability. Lyra approached him one final time before he prepared to leave the valley. "Your species is remarkable," she said. "Humans can endure what no one else can. You have changed how we see ourselves and the universe. You have shown us that resilience is more than strength, it is wisdom, courage, and heart." Ethan smiled. "We humans have always faced challenges," he said. "We survive, we adapt, and we help others survive too. That's who we are." The council bestowed upon him the title of Honorary Protector of the Planet, a recognition no alien had ever received. Ethan felt humbled. He had come to study a strange world, but he was leaving having left a lasting impact. Humans were not just survivors, they were builders, teachers, and guardians. As he boarded his ship to continue his journey, Ethan looked back at the valley. Lyra and the other aliens waved, their forms shimmering in the fading light. He knew he would carry this experience forever, a reminder of what humans could achieve in a universe full of delicate, fragile civilizations. The stars awaited him, as did countless worlds where humanity's resilience could be tested and admired. On this planet, humans had endured what no alien could, not through luck, but through strength, courage, and adaptability. Ethan smiled, knowing that being human was more than survival. It was the ability to inspire, protect, and transform. And as the ship lifted into the sky, the aliens watched in awe, recognizing that humans were truly extraordinary.